Field Report number 24, summer 1999, during the final stages of the Camp Hero SuperFund cleanup. All photos courtesy of Rebecca unless noted. We decided to go to Camp Hero with some friends who had recently started to explore the base, and reported to us it would not be long before many of our favorite buildings would be razed. Dan Alien had never been there, and I had not been on the base in 4 years, since getting arrested there, but it had been long enough since I had last explored the base. We met up at our friends Rebecca and Lupo's place. They had a friend that would be joining us who was a fellow drummer, and he had brought along a sledgehammer, which is perfect for breaking through cinder blocks. Then we were joined by Rebecca's brother Roy, who was a windmill technician, and his friend Adam, who was a sound engineer and brought along advanced sound recording equipment. We took 2 vehicles out to Moontauk, and we would be meeting another friend of theirs, a helicopter pilot, on the base. There would be 8 of us in total, which is a pretty large group to sneak around. We parked both vehicles illegally at the very end of Old Moontauk Highway, near the entrance at the extreme west side of the base, named Access Road C. There was a log pile to block vehicles from entering, and the metal gate was in the process of being removed. From here, it was a straight walk towards the interior of the base. When we approached the pink metal radome tower, which is the AN-FPS 26, we noticed a man crouching down, peering out from behind the open door on the 3rd floor up that is visible from the spot we were hiding behind. After peering at each other back and forth, we finally started making hand signals and realized this was the pilot we were here to meet. It was just a hairpin turn onto Radar Hill, so we scrambled towards the pink 26 tower and met him inside. Now we had the full crew for today's explorations. The pilot informed us that he routinely flies over the base. I told him how a Huey came flying low and fast, following the trail we just took on a previous visit. We had ran and hid in the very same pink tower and looked out the very same door on the 3rd floor, only to catch the Huey flying so low we were level with it, or even a little higher up, looking down on it slightly. It was creepy how it came blazing down the spot we just ran from. After telling him this, I then asked if he had ever heard of a pilot doing this, or if he would ever consider doing something like that. I also asked if a normal civilian pilot are able to fly a Huey. He was stumped as to why someone would take a chopper so low as to almost brush the top of the trees and overgrown bushes. He did think it was possible for a civilian to own an old Huey. I had spotted the same Huey on 2 other occasions, and once I was able to take a few shots of it hovering over us. There was a lot of people on the base at the time: EPA trucks, park trucks, police cars, unmarked white and black SUVs, and a lot of air traffic. After we all introduced ourselves and briefly climbed onto the roof, we decided to head to the radar first. Back in these times, it seems like we always went for the radar first. We took the shortcut directly through the bomb-proof ops building, but did not spend much time inside exploring. I was unaware back then that there were 4 levels below this building. We pretty much passed straight through to the other side, and this was always our favorite shortcut for escape if needed. We also briefly explored some of the other metal radome towers. There were 4 metal radar towers in total, but we skipped past the smaller radar towers for the main attraction, the giant splinter-proof concrete AN-FPS 35 tower, otherwise known as the Moontauk Radar. The Moontauk Radar. Surrounding the tower was piles of electronic equipment that had been thrown off the tower. Luckily, the back door was open, so the sledgehammer was not needed. We entered and headed up the stairwell for the roof, briefly exploring each floor. I was surprised to see the condition of the stairs. 4 years ago, they were in perfect shape. Now, a whole flight of steps had fallen through, and people made a makeshift ramp out of wooden office doors from floors below. I preferred to climb along the steel frame on the side. It was very dangerous then, and today the stairs, or lack thereof, are in much, much worse condition. Years of rain falling on them from the open roof hatch has caused this destruction. We made it to the top and climbed out onto the roof. God, I miss this view. We came up here at night once to look at the stars. It is amazing how far you can see. Since I was last on the base, they had locked the 5 motors on the roof of the radar, which prevents the dish from freewheeling. When it was in freesail mode, the radar would rotate with strong gusts of wind. Each time we visited the base, the radar dish would be facing different directions. and I used to keep track of it and document the different positions. Since they locked the motors, the radar dishes never turned again, and with no give, the ocean wind now rips sections off the dish, causing its destruction, along with occasional large falling chunks of metal. After checking out the layout of the base from the rooftop, and taking note of what has changed recently, and taking in the view one last time, we decided to head on over to the LSD house, which was scheduled to be raised soon. We made our way down and out of the tower, then across the rest of Radar Hill, down the steps towards the old base housing portion of the base, otherwise known as downtown Camp Hero. The LSD house was at the south side of this section, and one of the first buildings we came to. It was a plain 2-story yellow house from the exterior, but this house had something that none of the other 24 barrack-style homes had: psychedelic wallpapered and painted walls, with professional trim work in all of the 4 upstairs rooms. Each room had a distinct pattern. The painted rooms had multicolored, tie-dye style confetti dots. The other painted rooms had really wide, perfectly measured black and white stripes, Tim Leary style. The 2 wallpapered rooms were paisley on the upper half of the wall and black paint on the bottom half. The other, leopard print on the upper half and white paint on the bottom, separated by professional wood trim. We will get more into the LSD rooms later in more detail. For now, let's just say that this was the last time we would ever get to explore this house, and the last pictures ever taken in it. I cannot recall exploring further into any of the other remaining structures in downtown Camp Hero, but the photos show that we did. There was one major attraction we had left to visit, something essential for all newcomers to see: the underground tunnels of Battery 113. We made our way over to the south side of the Battery 113 casemate, off the main road that ran across the back side of the battery. We would enter on the west gun position side, and as it turns out, we would not need the sledgehammer because there was 2 cinder blocks that were missing. It was a very small hole, and it was about 5 feet off the ground. We literally had to pull ourselves up or step on someone's hand to get up to the hole. From there, we would squeeze through on our bellies and drop down hands first on the other side, using our feet still in the hole to hang with. The more people that got inside, the easier it was to help each other or to climb in. It was the first one in and the last one out that had the hardest time. Now, in the tunnels, we climbed through the next broken section of wall that was put up to seal off the 500-foot-long tunnel. We went through that and proceeded down towards the east gun position, checking all the rooms on the side. We spent a good amount of time checking the rooms, and we had decent flashlights this time. One room that had always been locked was open, and it looked like a bomb blew off inside. There was fire damage and lights were hanging from the ceiling. There is a skinny hallway that goes to the power room in the back of the bunker, which is half of a story underground. We did not enter the hallway this time. We then passed through the cages that some say abducted mind control victims were held. I always felt that this wire was not strong enough to hold people, and this was a storage area. However, I did see a similar structure from a different World War II site that was indeed described as a brig. If you have never seen this area, there is one photo from this day showing the cage section inside the tunnel. Onto another magazine room where high explosive and armor-piercing 16-inch shells were stored in mass. There was an incredible aluminum reflective sign we found that says Nuclear Casualty Buddy Care, and there is a picture of that as well. I have always surmised that this is the location for the Deep Fallout Shelter Edition, built in 1961 under national orders. We will get more into the other potential fallout shelters at Camp Hero at a later time. While a few people were trying to figure out if it was possible to fit the large sign through the small hole we climbed in, and the sound technician, Adam, was wandering around capturing sounds to create music with, myself, the drummer, and Dan Alien were looking into the venting panel in the corner of the room. The drummer kind of ripped the front panel off and we were able to climb into the horizontal vent into another area. He went first, and after just a few feet, he dropped down a story into a sub-level tunnel that ran adjacent to the main tunnel, but 1 story below ground. I stayed in the horizontal vent shaft with the top of my body hanging out into the tunnel below. I was about 6 feet off the floor, so the vent was on the upper part of the tunnel wall. This tunnel should not be here. It is not on the blueprints, but there is a gap in the blueprints that is in the exact measurements and the same location. I told the drummer to be careful because I thought back to that giant hole in the floor of Battery 216, and he took my advice, walking slowly and looking around. I asked him if there were any side rooms, and he said there was one, and in that room was another vent. So these were staggered levels. He said he wanted to go into that vent, but at that point, I felt responsible for him and told him it's not safe unless we get another person or two to come down. He agreed and came back, but I can tell he would have kept going, and I don't blame his curiosity. I had a gut feeling of danger, so I went with that. Now I will forever wonder how far down we could have went. I now realize that what we almost stumbled upon is a common secret tunnel that is in many US 16-inch gun casemates from World War II. After descending roughly 40 feet down, the tunnel runs 500 feet to a vent shaft on Radar Hill. You would have to climb 70 feet on 2 steel ladder levels. I will explain the details of this tunnel at a later date. After all this excitement, and after starting to feel ill, like we always do, we decided to get some fresh air and make our way out. We all helped each other again, climb up to the hole and out down on the other side. I was second to last out, and I stayed to hold the mic for Adam, who said he needed to get some loud destructive sounds for his music. He proceeded to smash concrete, chuck metal, and make a general ruckus until he got what he needed. It turns out he made a pretty chill beat out of all that noise, and he had a musician use it for her album. We made our way out, and with headaches, thirst, and exhaustion from all the ground we covered, we started to walk back to the cars at the west side of the base. As we started driving back towards town, we started noticing a helicopter following a ways back. As we got into town, it was catching up with us. Before leaving, we took a detour right and headed north towards the Moontauk Manor. Of course, the helicopter changed direction, angling straight towards us. Now we can see it was a Blackhawk with its front light on. Rebecca had just one last picture in her disposable camera and took a picture of the helicopter. You can see it here. It's not the best camera or film, but it shows the path was headed straight for us. It ended up flying directly over us, which felt a little menacing even if it was a coincidence. After that, we left Moontauk in a hurry. We had enough for one day.